You guys remember that song? I'm blue, da boo dee da boo die. Well, I bring it up because Bezos is definitely feeling blue about Blue Origin not being picked for the Lunar Lander project.
3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff.
I wanted to make this video to talk about the drama going on between Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. Things are heating up. No, not like that. It's because things are getting really tense between Bezos and Musk, and this is because Bezos is not backing down. In fact, he is protesting against NASA's decision to go with SpaceX for the lunar lander. As you know, NASA chose SpaceX to get that $2.9 billion contract to land astronauts on the moon. They're thinking 2024, that is also a totally different discussion. However, NASA's Human Landing System program funded the development of 3 rival lunar lander prototypes. Those included Dynetics, SpaceX, and Blue Origin, the national team, and they were expected originally to pick 2 of those landers in April. But NASA only chose one and happened to be the cheapest one, SpaceX.
I mean, it's a great honor to be chosen by NASA to return people to the moon. It's been now almost half a century since humans were last on the moon. It's too long.
Why did this happen? Well, because they were short the funds that they needed from Congress. In fact, this is something that I've touched on in some prior videos with both Scott Manley and Jonathan McDowell. Both of them kind of upset about this decision because really they had no other choice.
The Human Landing System contract, oh boy.
Yeah.
I mean, so I think it's nice that they've won it, but I'm actually not so happy with the fact that the way this ended up, because they literally won it because they didn't have any money. NASA was not given the money to do anything else. SpaceX adjusted their schedule a little to accept a little bit of their money later. And so with the small amount of money, they were the only option. I think that I still, even to this day, I think I would have seen them more likely as a sort of bet compared to either Dynetics or the national team. Both of those had landers which were much more in spec with the design that NASA was looking for. SpaceX is just like crazy way out there. It might actually be the better bet, but having 2 options, right? Two is definitely a better place to be.
For a lot of us, the guess would be that it would be the Blue Origin team that would get it. It had all the traditional big aerospace companies, and Blue as the new one. Part of the reason SpaceX got picked was the reduction in funding that Congress provided for the program by not giving them that much money. And so if you want to go to the moon soon on that much money, you better pick the one that's much cheaper than the others. I mean, the reason why it's allegedly much cheaper and allegedly much more capable is that it's a huge leap in technology. And they haven't actually made that huge leap yet. They've got to prove it. And so in that sense, the Blue Origin proposal, although it had problems, it was more conservative.
So Blue Origin not backing down. In fact, they filed a 175-page protest with the Government Accountability Office less than 2 weeks after SpaceX was awarded this giant contract. So back on April 16th, NASA announced it was awarding SpaceX and its Starship rocket system with the contract. And the key reasons that SpaceX won, according to NASA, was the spacecraft's proposed cost and cargo capacity. And that's why they beat Blue Origin and Dynetics. But those key reasons are not gonna cut it for Blue Origin. In fact, they called NASA's decision flawed. In their protest, they say NASA has executed a flawed acquisition for the Human Landing System program and moved the goalposts at the last minute. So they're saying what NASA did was not only unfair, it's high risk. They also go on to say that their decision eliminates opportunities for competition, significantly narrows the supply base, and not only delays, but also endangers America's return to the moon. Because of that, we filed a protest with the Government Accountability Office. And according to this article from The Verge, NASA did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the protest, but you know who did respond? And is definitely not being subtle about it? Well, Elon Musk. He tweeted this tweet. Yeah, kind of crude. Musk says, "Can't get it up to orbit, LOL." So he's referring to the fact that Blue Origin hasn't launched anything to orbit yet. And the Lunar lander contract is such a big part of the Artemis program. Remember, we'll be putting the first astronauts back on the moon since Apollo, and that was back in 1972. Last year, Congress gave NASA $850 million of the $3.3 billion it requested to procure the lunar landers. And NASA says lack of funds is a reason that they only picked SpaceX's Starship instead of picking two companies like they said originally, which obviously Blue Origin says, hey, you said one thing, you're not sticking to it. In the filing, Blue Origin says that NASA didn't provide the company an opportunity to revise their proposal after learning about the lack of funding from Congress. They also claim that NASA unfairly favored SpaceX and ignored technical challenges related to Starship, including the rocket system's unproven technique to refuel itself in orbit. And just to give you a little background on the Government Accountability Office where this filing was made, they can act as a court for procurement disputes between companies and federal agencies. So they'll be reviewing Blue Origin's protest, and they can choose either to reject or sustain the protest. So if Blue Origin's protest is sustained, which keep in mind that is rare, they could issue a set of recommendations for NASA. And it would be extremely rare on top of that for an agency to defy those recommendations, but we'll have to see how all this shakes out. So Blue Origin is asking that the Government Accountability Office recommend that NASA rescind its award to SpaceX, reissue the competition with a new statement that reflects the funding shortfall, and convene discussions with all bidders on the new process. So I want to know from you, do you think that Blue Origin is being treated unfairly? Do you think that NASA should rescind the contract and start over? Or do you say SpaceX all the way, baby, and you think that they made the right decision? Comment below, please let me know. Definitely interesting to see all of this unfold, and I'm sure that this is not the last video that I will be making about this. Thank you so much for clicking on this video. I really appreciate all of your support, and until then, I'll see you soon.